On this Thursday night, protesters in Calgary accuse the Prime Minister of leaving Alberta out in the cold. At Issue brings its take on the government's new economic plan.
We will be opening a file on it and looking into what happened.
A CBC News investigation into another case of child abuse in Manitoba's foster system. Secret recordings reveal what officials knew and did.
This allows a potential solution to come.
And two high-profile resignations at a private boys' school under national scrutiny. Is it a first step toward reparation? This is The National. The Trudeau government took some heat today in the oil patch and in Parliament for the fiscal update announced yesterday. They say their plan will stimulate business. The opposition took aim, though, at how much the government is spending.
This year, the deficit will be 3 times the size the Liberal platform promised, and next year it will be even bigger. And that was the year when the budget was supposed to balance itself.
Mr. Speaker, what I continue to hear from the member of Carleton are buzzwords from first-year economic textbooks. What I do, though, importantly, is think about how we're going to listen to actual Canadians and what really matters to them.
Morneau went on to say Canadians are concerned about jobs for today and the next generation. The Prime Minister was in Alberta today to sell that plan to business leaders and everyone really, but his highly skeptical audience wasn't buying most of it. Angry protesters in Calgary drove home the point that Canada's oil patch feels abandoned in the midst of a crisis. Aaron Collins was there for Justin Trudeau's rather frosty welcome.
Angry and ignored, the feeling among the 2,000 protesters here almost palpable. Frustrated by the enormous discount Alberta crude is being sold for, about $40 per barrel less than the U.S. benchmark price these days.
It's a huge economic crisis for Canada, for Alberta, for every Canadian. They should be concerned about the fact that oil and gas producers are not making any money.
The reason for that crisis and this protest, an inability to get Canadian oil to market due to a lack of pipeline capacity. And rightly or wrongly, in this crowd, much of the blame for that lies with Justin Trudeau, in town today to speak about that very problem.
Because we're forced to sell our oil at a discount, Canada's economy is losing an estimated $80 million a day. That's unacceptable.
But no concrete solutions on offer in this speech or in this week's fiscal update.
Even industry isn't entirely united on the best ways to move forward on how to fix this differential.
Well, the Prime Minister did meet with industry heavyweights today, some of whom have been calling for mandated reductions in oil production. The hope being that decreasing the production of oil here will bring prices for Canadian crude back up. Another option being proposed, increasing oil by rail until a new pipeline is built, something Alberta has asked the federal government to pay for, a plan the province's premier was disappointed to see left out of the federal fiscal update.
If there was this kind of economic crisis going on in the manufacturing sector in Ontario, we're pretty sure it would make its way into the first 2 paragraphs of the fiscal update.
Unresolved, it's an economic crisis that could cost Alberta's treasury as much as $4 billion in 2019. A political crisis for a government facing an election in the spring and an increasingly hostile electorate. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
Now, the government has been unable to push through a pipeline expansion after buying the Trans Mountain project for $4.5 billion this summer. The construction has been slowed by a federal court ruling that suggested more meaningful consultation with Indigenous communities was needed. So the government is trying to do that now. But according to the fiscal update, it has made $70 million on the investment already. On an annualized basis, that would be $200 million. The government's also taking some heat today for giving the Canadian media industry a boost. The Liberals argue that supporting independent news is vital for democracy. But as Catherine Cullen tells us, critics feel that support is a political ploy to curry favor with journalists.
Justin Trudeau thinks the job of the media is to shower him with praise.
It's a scathing allegation.
He's forcing Canadian taxpayers to dole out $600 million in order to try and buy Trudeau the media's support as he goes to the polls.
and the Conservatives are digging in.
That is a policy of instituting state-run journalism.
Leader Andrew Scheer said in a tweet that instead of helping oil and gas workers, Justin Trudeau is handing out money to journalists who will cover him in an election year.
In fact, the government wants an independent panel from the world of journalism to decide who qualifies for tax credits and incentives, though it is the government who will decide who participates in that panel. It's quick to defend the plan and journalists.
What they're saying is that any government of the day can put some money on the table and buy a journalist, which is ridiculous.
He says the media industry is in crisis and needs the help. And it's worth noting that Canadian governments have long funded some journalism, including the CBC. But this disagreement turns the media and its coverage into something of a political football for both sides. One union representing many of Canada's journalists, including many CBC employees, is pushing back against the allegation this will buy off the media.
It's not like, for example, if the Kitchener-Waterloo Record was to report something negative about the government, they're going to take away their tax credit. They can't. They're eligible for that.
The head of the Post media chain, who says he hopes to hire more journalists because of this funding, is dismissing the criticism too.
The Conservatives that are standing up criticizing this are just trying to make political hay when there's no political hay to be made.
In fact, today's debate led to an argument between a journalist and Conservatives about whether they were spreading fear about the press.
Why is it fear-mongering? You've labeled it something.
You just made a judgment.
You made a judgment.
You made a judgment.
No, we're asking.
It's already started, folks. It's already started.
Yes.
Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.
We turn now to a CBC News investigation that reveals some disturbing details about a Manitoba foster care provider. Members of the company privately admitted leaving a child in its care exposed to abuse, and for some viewers, the notion of children in care and at risk will strike a familiar chord. 15-year-old Tina Fontaine, 5-year-old Phoenix Sinclair, children the system was supposed to protect, mistreated, and murdered. Two unspeakable, preventable tragedies that put the Manitoba child welfare system under the microscope. Cases that prompted Canadians to ask how the system can fail children and leave them in danger. Tonight's case is different. The victims are very much alive, but while in the care of a Manitoba foster care company, there were allegations they'd been abused. Members of the company knew it, and in their words, they just sat and allowed it to happen. Katie Nicholson has the story.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of System Kids.
Every week for 1 hour, System Kids tells it like it is for kids in care.
Kids need to be taught to use their voice.
Today, one story in particular is top of mind, especially for this former child in care.
You know, you shouldn't let a child linger in a home where they could be being abused. That's just not acceptable.
In a secret recording obtained by CBC News, the director of foster care of a private for-profit company, B&L Resources, admits it took too long to separate children from their abuser after allegations of sexual abuse emerged in one of its homes.
And I think we dragged our heels big time. We really dragged our feet.
The meeting was recorded by a case manager, frustrated, she says, that her appeals to protect the children weren't taken seriously.
We literally just left those kids to sit there and be victimized.
The admissions are frank and disturbing.
The damage is done. It's been sort of ongoing for probably as long as the kids have been there. But our role, and according to the Act, is that once we are aware, then we have to act.
Child welfare investigators eventually confirmed the allegations were true. A minor in the home was sexually abusing other children in care. The foster agency says decisions about the safety and placement of children rest with the Child Welfare Authority that hired them. In this case, that's Métis Child and Family Services. It says it acted as soon as it learned of the allegations, but it won't say when that was. That's not good enough for one of the biological parents who says the children's Métis CFS worker was told of abuse allegations months before they ever came up at B&L. Whatever really happened is about to be put under the child advocate's microscope.
So we will be opening a file on it and looking into what happened.
Manitoba's Minister of Child and Family Services has the power to ask the director of CFS to investigate. For now, she's standing back and watching.
If it warrants that type of direction, we will consider those at the time. We will always put the health and safety of children in our province first.
Back in the System Kids studio, one hard truth.
When you remove a child from their birth family and you place them in a foster home or a group home, you expect that you're putting them in a safe place. And if the place where they're supposed to be receiving protection isn't protected, then that's absolutely heartbreaking.
And Katie joins us now. Katie, the kids in this case, can you tell us how they're doing?
Well, we can tell you that they were separated from their abuser and that all the children involved have received some counseling, and we are told that they are currently in good placements.
When we hear that the child advocate is opening a file, what exactly does that mean?
Well, it's not the same as an investigation. It's all very preliminary, but where can it go? That's the question. The advocate has the right to interview anyone involved in the case and review documents. The advocate can decide to have a formal investigation that can result in a special report that can make recommendations to child welfare agencies. Now, the rub is we may never be able to see the special reports because of the sensitive nature of what they probe, unless the advocate decides it is in the public interest to see those special reports and the recommendations. Adrian?
Okay, thanks, Katie. Katie Nicholson in Winnipeg tonight. Now, as Katie said, Manitoba's Minister of Families does have the power to step in, but so far she says she won't. We wanted to know why.
I believe it's been a very, very rare circumstances, if any, at this stage that that route has taken place. And it has to be under very serious circumstances.
Here's how it works. B&L Resources is hired by a child welfare agency which reports to something called Métis CFS Authority, which, like all child and family services authorities, ultimately gets its funding from the province. B&L, for example, received more than $50 million over the last 5 years from the province.
We work with the authorities who have the authority over this jurisdiction. But we will, and to ensure that they have the tools that they need to ensure the safety of children in our province.
That could make it sound like the province funds but doesn't have power here, and that's not entirely so. Manitoba law states clearly that the Minister of Families is responsible, in part, for establishing policies and standards relating to a child's safety and security, and monitoring and assessing how authorities carry out their responsibilities. Now to another story involving the safety of children. Today in Toronto, St. Michael's College School announced the resignations of its principal and its president. This comes 8 days after the private boys' school became engulfed in scandal over alleged assaults among students that were caught on video. Olivia Stefanovic has a reaction to this latest twist.
For more than a week, they were the public face of a school under heavy scrutiny. Today, the principal and president of St. Michael's College resigned.
This definitely doesn't fix the problem, but this allows a potential solution to come.
Jean-Paul Bedard was one of the former students who called for accountability. He used to be on the football team and alleges he experienced sexual violent hazing incidents 35 years ago.
Now St. Mike's has an opportunity to become a leader in changing this culture, this toxic masculinity.
In a statement, the school says Principal Greg Reeves and President Father Jefferson Thompson cited their shared desire to move the school forward without distractions and allow it to focus on healing and change. But their departure comes after police revealed senior administrators took nearly 48 hours to tell them about a video depicting alleged gang sexual assault. 6 students, now expelled, face criminal charges.
The reality is I had to make a decision at that time, and when I saw that video, the victim became my most important person.
Investigators called that a teachable moment.
In particular for the school principal. I think if he could walk this back, he would likely do this very differently.
The resignations came hours after CBC reported on a possible conflict of interest, as raised by former student Adam Bonney. He says the chair of the board of directors admitted his friendship with the principal and endorsed his leadership.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important in terms of transparency, that any review that's going to be conducted by the Cultural Review Committee that's being established is actually going to be free from bias or unencumbered by interests.
An interim president and vice principals are now in place. Their challenge to deliver the school through the crisis. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Toronto.
Some other stories we're keeping an eye on tonight. The woman who murdered 8-year-old Tori Stafford in 2009 has been transferred back to a prison in Ontario. That's according to Tori's father. Terry Lynn McClintock had been serving time at an Indigenous healing lodge over her role in the kidnapping and killing. But after public outrage and protests, Correctional Service Canada reviewed the case and McClintock was moved to an Edmonton prison. Rodney Stafford now says he's been told McClintock has been transferred to a medium security section of a prison in Ontario. We got a better sense today of how much money will be paid to families involved in the Humboldt Broncos crash. A GoFundMe campaign raised $15 million with donations from more than 80 countries. An oversight committee is recommending that families or dependents of the 16 who died should get $475,000, and for the 13 survivors, a little bit less, $425,000. A judge will make the final decision next week. Have a look at what must have been a terrifying robbery attempt caught on camera in Ontario. A group of masked men smashed through the window of a jewelry store with a hammer, but the employees fight back with swords. Yeah, that's right, swords. They managed to chase the would-be thieves back out the window, but look again, that guy has a gun. He apparently tried to fire it, but it jammed. No one was hurt, but police say it could have been so much worse.
Property is replaceable, but lives aren't. If you can get yourself out, that's what we want. If you can get on the phone and call 911 and let us come and do our job, then that's what we want.
The 4 men fled the scene in a dark-colored SUV. Investigators, though, are looking for them. Swords. It's been 2 days of intrigue and mystery in the BC legislature. On Tuesday, 2 senior staff were suspended and escorted out of the building. The clerk and sergeant at arms are now both under criminal investigation. And while no one is talking specifics, the story is moving, and it's an odd one. Renee Filippone joins us with more about what happened today in this story in Victoria. Renee.
Well, Rosie, the spotlight is now on the Speaker of the Legislature, and we're told that back in January, he brought in a friend to investigate the clerk and the sergeant at arms. Then, before those two were put on leave, the Speaker was suggesting that same friend become the new sergeant. Now, that man is Alan Mullen, a little-known figure in BC politics.
I think all of us are concerned that we have found out yesterday that a 7-month investigation was being conducted by someone with no legal training or policing experience, and that this was being effectively hidden from the accountable assembly, which is the legislature.
The opposition BC Liberals have bad blood with Speaker Darryl Plekas. He was kicked out of the party after taking the job as Speaker, ensuring that the NDP could hold on to power in a minority government.
I'm sure you will find it interesting what I have to say this afternoon.
But no one got to hear anything interesting because Plekas canceled a scheduled press conference. The men under investigation maintain they still don't know what they are accused of. The RCMP will only say it's connected to their administrative duties. And the Premier says it's all a surprise to him.
I know the individuals in question. I've been working with them for many, many years. This is a shock to the institution and a shock to British Columbians.
And Rosie, the Speaker has now brought in a second special advisor. This time it's former Attorney General Wally Opal. So the plot thickens on this scandal that's gripped the province, where the stakes are high. If anything happens to the Speaker through these investigations, it could impact the balance of power in the BC legislature.
Yeah, that would be a big deal. Thanks, Renee. We know you've been watching all the twists and turns on this one for us. Renee Filippone, she's in Vancouver tonight.
Still ahead on the National, the feds have tabled back-to-work legislation for Canada Post workers. What will it mean for your holiday deliveries?
Yes, and it's at issue night, from the mini budget to the tax credits for the media. You better believe the gang has a lot to get through tonight.
But first, Marketplace investigates pushy funeral homes.
I always say to families, your aunt or your mom or dad lose a lot of dignity when they're going through a sickness or an illness. Least you can do is give them some of that dignity back.
I don't like people preying on people's vulnerabilities.
David Common has the story next on the National. It's never pleasant to talk about, but we have to. Death is not only an inevitable part of life, it can also be a really expensive one, too. A funeral in Canada can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 and up. Last year, CBC's Marketplace looked into the business of selling funerals and found some funeral homes play on feelings of guilt to upsell products and services. That initial investigation led to regulatory change. Now, more than a year later, Marketplace takes its hidden cameras back inside. Here's David Common with what they discovered.
So this is our selection room.
As a customer, you may never be more vulnerable to a sales pitch than when arranging a funeral. When Randy and Monique were arranging one for his ailing mother, they felt railroaded into buying expensive options that they never wanted.
Did you feel like you had an option?
No, absolutely not.
It was suggested to us that it was something that had to be done.
Things like embalming.
Yes.
The embalming, the purchase of a casket.
You had to go with this package. This was the minimum package that you could have. That was the biggest issue, was the embalming and a viewing of my mother, who was very private, and it would have been awful. It would have made me sick.
Complaints like that prompted our original investigation into funeral sales, one that led to a regulatory crackdown in Ontario.
Did take action right away.
So we've gone back inside 5 homes, all run by Arbor, the largest Canadian-owned funeral chain.
Does that seem like something that would be appropriate?
Once again, our undercover team was steered towards more expensive caskets.
I always say to families, your aunt or your mom or dad lose a lot of dignity when they're going through a sickness or an illness. Least you can do is give them some of that dignity back.
That in itself isn't against the law. It's perhaps distasteful. People would find that distasteful.
Kerry Smith is the funeral regulator in Ontario.
I don't like people preying on people's vulnerabilities.
And he really didn't like what came next.
Our starting point is around $18.95.
Our undercover team is asking about a cheaper casket, and the new rules say the home is obliged to sell it. But the salesperson digs in.
So we can't use it?
Not for visitation. Like, not for your funeral.
She's wrong.
She's wrong.
Yes.
You've forbidden that. You've been clear.
Yeah, you can't do that. If they want to use that as a service, they have to use it as a service.
And if you're confronted by something like that, what do you do?
Oh, we'll be taking action on that one, for sure.
And he did. In response to our questions, the funeral chain said they've made significant enhancements to their training programs and that 90% of the families they serve are very satisfied.
And David Common joins us now. I suspect some people listening to this will say, you know, when you're trying to plan a funeral, you're not exactly thinking like a savvy consumer. So any tips you can offer them?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one, big one, bring a friend, bring someone who's not as emotionally vulnerable as you. Think about it as any other big purchase. Would you go and buy a car when you're emotionally vulnerable like that? No, you wouldn't. Also, know what you want and know what you don't want, and be very clear when you're in there booking it all.
What did you take away? What's the one thing you took away the most from this?
Know that the people on the other side of the desk when you are arranging it are quite likely on commission. So if you want the gold-plated coffin, go ahead, have it. But if you don't want it, don't get talked into it, because they may be making more money by selling you it.
Okay, David Common, thanks very much.
Thank you.
You can watch the full Marketplace investigation tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on CBC Television, 8:30 in Newfoundland. So here's what else we've got for you tonight on The National. More than 1,000 history lovers lined up at the National Library in Edinburgh to get a quick glimpse at one of the world's most significant Bibles. The story from Scotland ahead.
And we dive deep on the fall fiscal update. Do deficits even matter anymore? Andrew Chantel and Althea Raj join me for that debate on At Issue right after this.
We moved forward yesterday on a clear
support for businesses right across the country, but also very much the oil and gas industry here with an accelerated capital cost allowance that will significantly help.
We know what matters to Canadians. They want to make sure that there are jobs for their families for today and for their children for tomorrow.
Liberals have again given $14 billion to corporations at a time when Canadians are struggling with many things.
Isn't it true that we've gone from the budget will balance itself to the budget will never balance itself at all?
After the plan comes the sell, and that's what the government was out doing today, trying to convince Canadians that going deeper into the red will ultimately be good for the economy. So, do deficits even matter these days? Don't think so. And what to make about those tax credits for journalism. At Issue is here to dig into the fiscal update. Chantal Hébert is in Montreal, Andrew Coyne is in Toronto, and Althea Raj is here in Ottawa. Good to see everybody. So let's start with the overall message of the fiscal update, which did seem to be we're willing to go deeper into deficit in order to help Canadian businesses remain competitive with the United States. Chantal, is that a convincing argument for Canadians for going deeper into deficit?
Well, people most likely to point out that this is a really slippery path would be possibly the business community. And in this sense, you're not going to hear very much of that from them because they are the main beneficiaries. I've rarely seen a government double down on the deficit in good times with the Business Council, those would be big corporate guys, the Small Business Lobby, and the Chamber of Commerce applauding with both hands. So up to a point, I can't talk to the economics or the wisdom of this, but it is certainly a wildly pre-election political document in the sense that it neutralizes the lobbies that would be most likely to say, wait a minute, these guys are not serious managers of public money.
True enough, but when I asked Morneau yesterday, Andrew, where is the concrete evidence that there is this flood of businesses leaving Canada for the United States, there didn't seem to be any real examples of this yet. And he admitted it was in large part preventative. So does that mean that it is a good thing?
Well, look, the reason we're in deficit isn't because there isn't enough revenues. If you go back to look at the last Harper budget, the revenues for this fiscal year are almost exactly on target with what the Harper government projected when they were projecting a small surplus. So the reason why we're running $18 billion, $19 billion deficits isn't because of a lack of revenues, it's because of the really rapid increase in spending that's been going on over the last 3 years. I think what a lot of people would have preferred to see than just this tinkering about with depreciation schedules would have been much more broad-ranging tax reform. You can bring down corporate tax rates and personal tax rates without the kind of revenue loss that we've seen in the States if you're prepared to broaden the tax base, if you're prepared to go out and eliminate a lot of these deductions and preferences that don't serve any useful purpose and in fact just distort investment decisions. A lot of people were calling for that. The government, for one reason or another, didn't want to go down that road. So instead what we get is something which doesn't really reduce tax rates, it just kind of moves them about a bit. If you can take profits earlier than you might otherwise, you pay less tax in the short run, you pay more tax in the long run. It probably helps at the margin, but it's not the kind of, it doesn't really begin to be a real answer to the kind of competitiveness challenge we're facing.
But it does force Althea companies to invest now if they want to take advantage of these things. And the hope is then, I guess, that if you invest now, you're not going to want to turn your back on it later.
No, that's true. And I think a few things. I think to Chantal's point, the business community was becoming basically the largest opponent that the Liberal government was facing going into the 2019 election. If we'll recall, last year, CFIB, this small business group, was really front and center when the Liberals tried to bring in those changes to the way private corporations were structured. Yeah. And they were calling in the days and weeks leading up to this fiscal update that they really wanted to see a plan. I mean, somewhat totally unrealistic, saying that they wanted like the budget to be balanced in 2 to 5 years. But now they're suddenly completely silent, even though we are, $14-15 billion more into debt by giving corporations, whether they are small or large, big tax breaks. So I think they've neutralized in many ways an opponent that was going to come attack them from the right in the next campaign. I think they can't really afford actually to give more corporate tax cuts, like following the Donald Trump example from last year. Kevin Page was saying that that's $2 billion for every 1% drop yearly. That's a lot of money, and they're not actually proving to work in the U.S. So this, I think, was actually the advice that the Business Council of Canada was giving the government, and the government took it.
Okay, let me turn to the other element, because I want to hear you all weigh in on this, because it is in some ways much more controversial, even though it is a much smaller amount of money. It's, I think, about $600 million in tax breaks for journalism. The Conservatives are appalled that this has happened. Here's a little bit of what that sounded like today in question period.
What guarantee do we have that they will not use this slush fund as a gigantic propaganda machine for the Liberal Party?
We believe in a strong and independent free press. We know that our democracy relies on getting information to Canadians.
So this was obviously in response to a number of different media industries that have said, you know, we need some help, we need either subsidies or tax credits, what have you. Obviously, we're speaking on a public broadcaster where we receive an awful lot of money to do journalism. But with that caveat out there, Andrew, I know you have many thoughts on this. What did you make of the government's response and the timing of it? Because it has opened the door to attacks like the one we saw from the Conservatives.
Well, first of all, I'm glad to see the Conservatives opposing it. My worry, one of my worries, was we'd see a bidding match between the two parties to see who could suck up to the media more. So it's actually fairly courageous.
That hasn't happened, yes.
Well, it's actually fairly courageous to see the Conservatives opposing this, because a lot of the media, a lot of people, both in the executive suite and at on the pages of our newspapers, have wrapped their minds around the idea that, oh, maybe this is something we can justify. It's a really noticeable contrast to the response to the Kent Commission in 1980, when they recommended bringing in subsidies for news-gathering organizations. The nation's publishers, to their credit, rose up and said, we don't want any part of that. Now, obviously, we're in different times now, but some of those issues remain the same. And the issue is not, Pierre Poilievre talking about, a liberal slush fund for propaganda purposes. The issue is that well, first of all, if you're going to give out money like this, you can't give it to everybody who claims to be a news organization, because there's hundreds of thousands of them now. So you have to choose. Well, who's going to choose and on what basis? Well, we're going to have a panel of journalists doing it. And do we really think that that's going to be representative, if you will, of the range of opinions that actually exist out there? Or will a certain type of journalism and a certain type of very responsible, might be messages that you or I might agree with, but it's not going to be the kind of robust free exchange of ideas. It's going to be a particular type that will fit within that range. And not only will we have organizations, news organizations, trying to make sure they can fit within that ambit of who will get the tax credits, but you'll have journalists vying to be on that panel for all kinds of reasons I don't particularly want to speculate on. It's just leading us down a really bad path.
Chantal's desperate to get in. Here we go.
Yes, only desperate up to a point, but since we are on the public broadcaster network, you can't compare it to the reaction or the situation at the time of the Kent Commission. And the fact that the executive suites and others in the media, French and English, just rushed to congratulate the government on this tells you all you need to know about how all those organizations are at wit's end to find a way to keep going. Yeah. The problem you would have with the Conservative reaction, beyond the fact that if they're going to spend the next election campaign saying every journalist that is covering them has been bought off, I'm not too sure that that's a winning strategy for very long, is do they have a solution, or do they want to live in a world that is totally dominated by the CBC and Radio-Canada? Because that is where this market is headed at this point. The counterpoint is that I don't believe this government help is a long-term solution. It's not a bridge to somewhere, because no one has found what that somewhere without government help would be. And the people who most dislike it, I think, except for the Conservatives, are people like us who cover politics and who are always unhappy to see governments try to find ways that will eventually give them more leverage, because while they may not buy us, I have never seen a party in power, Conservative, Parti Québécois, or Liberal, that did not want to use as much of the leverage as it could on the media.
Althea.
So a few different things there. I agree with Andrew about the panel. I think that's where really we're going to see whether or not this, like the usual suspects direct money towards a certain segment of the media, or whether or not this is really something that they want to help everybody flourish. I wear a bit of a different hat. I used to run a local not-for-profit, hyper-local blog. It's a registered not-for-profit. One of the things that the government has brought forward is the ability for not-for-profits like this to be able to issue charitable tax credits. Frankly, we're an entirely volunteer-run organization, and charitable credits might allow us to actually have like a reporter covering municipal affairs. And I think that would be a good thing, and that's maybe a model in small communities that people would like to embrace. Now, we are talking on a public broadcaster. Nobody from the Prime Minister's office told me what to say or not say on this panel.
Thank you
Nobody
for
ever
clarifying
does.
that for some people, yes.
Yeah,
Me
but you
either.
know what I mean? And
Yes.
so we're hearing some voices from the Conservative kind of suggest almost that there is like they need to bully us into doing our job fairly, and I think that's really destructive. So I'm not sure that this other part of the plan, this tax credit that helps pay our labor costs, is actually going to work. I share Chantal's suggestions that it's not a long-term strategy, but I'm not really yet ready to say that this is a horrible and terrible idea, because I'm not sure what the solution is, and I really do think that especially in local and small communities across this country, the decline of journalism, local journalism, is a real problem. And
that's what,
think it does require some type of response.
And that's what they're trying to target. 30 seconds to you, Andrew.
Well, it's worse than not being a solution. It will retard us from making the kinds of changes that we're going to have to make as an industry. We've made every mistake in the book to get in this fix. This didn't just happen to us. And there's going to have to be major changes. We're going to need new players, new startups, et cetera. All this does is tell everybody in the business, especially the established players, you can go back to sleep. Uncle Government will be here to help you. And because it's not a solution, because it will actually retard the solution, the only most likelihood is there'll be more and more money to come in future years. You ain't seen nothing yet.
I hope not.
No.
Okay,
And I write for HuffPost, so.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. Before we go, be sure to subscribe to At Issue, the podcast, for extra content. Rick Mercer's a fan, in case you didn't know. This week, we're talking about the cuts to Francophone services in Ontario. Look for it on iTunes, any major podcast app, our website, cbcnews.ca/thenational.
And next on The National, we'll stick with politics and your parcels. The federal government tables legislation to force postal workers back on the job, but plenty of small business people are still worried about their Christmas deliveries.
Initially, it wasn't too bad, but now it's gotten to a point where it's compounded so much where, stations are backed up. A lot of the shipments we've sent out in the last week or two, are they even close to getting delivered?
Thanksgiving looked a little different in Northern California today. Hundreds of volunteers and police officers continued combing through the charred town of Paradise looking for human remains. Heavy rain is now making that task difficult, though. Up to 150 millimeters is expected to fall through the weekend. At least 84 people have been confirmed dead in and around Paradise. Hundreds more still unaccounted for. But survivors were today offered a small amount of comfort.
We're just the team that's doing the turkey inside the hall over there in the restaurant. Folks are doing side dishes and green beans and gravy and stuffing and pumpkin pie, you name it.
Celebrity chefs, including Guy Fieri, helped serve up to 15,000 dinners to survivors and first responders. Teams started cooking at 4 a.m. and expected to go through about 7,000 pounds of turkey through the day.
The British people want this to be settled. They want a good deal that sets us on course for a brighter future. That deal is within our grasp, and I am determined to deliver it.
She's still standing, and a passionate Theresa May made that statement outside 10 Downing Street. She says the European Commission has agreed to draft text on what the UK's relationship with the UK would look like after Brexit. That agreement will now go to the other 27 EU leaders before a special council meeting on Sunday. But already a new sticking point, Gibraltar. Spain says if it doesn't get direct involvement in decisions over that British territory, it will veto the draft agreement.
I've decided to announce my retirement, and it's not a decision that I came to lightly. It's been on my mind for a little while now.
One of Canada's most decorated alpine skiers is walking away from the sport effective immediately. Eric Gay had already said this would be his last season, but says he's not willing to risk injury anymore. Gay leaves the sport with 25 World Cup podiums and 2 world titles.
Amazing athlete. Now, if your mailbox has been emptier than usual lately, that's likely to change, and soon. The federal government has introduced back-to-work legislation for Canada Post workers and a motion to fast-track it.
The impacts of the rotating strikes are particularly pronounced for small and medium-sized businesses because the fourth quarter is their busiest. If the strikes are left to continue through the holiday season, they would create significant hardship.
So the bill could be debated within days, ending rotating strikes and jump-starting delivery of backlogged mail. Not a moment too soon, according to many small businesses. The disruptions have created a lot of ill will inside Canada Post and across the country. As Katie Simpson tells us, getting past that is going to be hard.
So this is puddings, Christmas puddings.
These presents may just make it under the Christmas tree after all. As the owner of 2 specialty shops, Michael Cox uses Canada Post to ship products to his customers and welcomes today's step toward passing back-to-work legislation.
Christmas can always be saved if people want to save it.
The Liberals have now started a process to fast-track a bill which, if passed, could force mail carriers to return to the job in a matter of days. It comes after 5 weeks of rotating strikes and little progress at the negotiating table.
The two parties continue to negotiate with a mediator, but having said that, we need to be ready to act if they can't reach an agreement.
The move triggered even more frustration on the picket line.
I know that the public generally feels that at this point we're probably ruining Christmas. That's not the case at all. Forcing us back, yeah, we're just going back to the same horrible working conditions in the busiest time of year. We're going to be overburdened. There's going to be injuries.
Negotiators can't find common ground on working conditions, safety protections, and wages. The union's president says he is outraged but not surprised.
Canada Post only has one game. It's to sit back and wait for legislation. And now the government is doing their dirty work.
Canada Post employees have been legislated back to work before, in 2011 under the Conservatives and in 1997 under the Liberals. It's a risky move that can lead to resentment on all sides, according to this professor.
Over the longer term, if you continue to resolve your disputes through the use of arbitrators, avoid making some of the tendency to avoid making some of the tough decisions.
Even if back-to-work legislation is brought in within days, the Postal Workers Union isn't ruling out any options when it comes to their response, including new possible work-to-rule actions. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Ottawa.
Next on the National, park officials are playing a game of cat and mouse in Vancouver, or more accurately, a game of otter and koi fish. And the match is becoming a real tourist attraction.
I came to see the otter that's eating all the koi fish and creating a disturbance in Vancouver.
I'm here to see the otter that I saw the news yesterday.
Oh, I want to see if they caught it.
It's the weirdest story. The hunt for the well-fed furry creature is our moment, but first. In case you missed it, a Gutenberg Bible was out in public today. That's a big deal. The Gutenberg Bible is one of the most precious artifacts ever printed. In 1455, Johannes Gutenberg used Europe's first movable type printing press to make fewer than 200 copies, depicted here in his trademark pointy hat. Kidding. Obviously, that's a reenactment. Anyway, just 20 complete Gutenberg Bibles survive today, scattered among the world's most exclusive collections, seldom seen, the kind of thing that's trotted out for popes and presidents, but for one day only. The National Library of Scotland put one on display, and the response was overwhelming.
Just over 1,000 people. And we were working it out, and we worked out that more people saw that book today than probably saw it in the whole of the first couple of 100 years that it was printed. I was speaking to somebody who gave up her lunch break to stand in a queue and look at this book, and she was literally jumping up and down.
For someone tasked with preserving and protecting rare books, today was a rare treat.
Days like this, when you get to share them with other people, you realise what a privilege it is to be responsible for them.
All right, look, don't be fooled by that cute face in there. That might be a killer on the loose, one that struck again today. CBC News can confirm a mystery otter has eaten at least 7 of the 14 treasured koi fish at the Dr. Sun Yat-sen Classical Chinese Garden in the middle of Vancouver. So how did that happen? No one seems to know how the otter got in or where it is now. And today the garden had to close its doors to try to trap the little bugger. No luck so far. Hungry otter versus frustrated humans is our moment of the day.
I thought it was pretty badass, and so I came to check it out.
Behold the amateur detectives, people crowding the closed gate of the gardens today for a chance to catch the action.
Ideally, I'd like to see him burst through the water, flop through the air, and smash down, Free Willy style.
Okay, ambitious. Some just want the mystery solved and the fish saved.
It's in a protected area, so it should be removed.
These aren't just the sort of fish you buy at a pet store. Some are decades old, and a few have names.
They're here to really bring us happiness and joy. Madonna, our mascot, who is over 50 years old.
Yep, Madonna. She apparently has managed to hide from the otter. Some of the other fish haven't been so crafty. And so, yes, that's a little gross, but for the otter, it's survival.
It's natural for otter to find their food in the city.
The humans in charge had a plan to fill a trap with bait, tuna and chicken. At last word, the otter ate the bait and escaped the trap. The search continues. You know, there's so much about this I quite love, including how nuanced the park board is being. No one wants to appear too pro-otter in this, and so they've sent out a series of messages saying, we're worried about both the fish and the otter, and we'll try to save them and get the otter to the best possible location for it, but, you know, get it out of there.
He's clearly wily, though, if he's able to get the food in the trap and then still get away. And he's chosen, obviously, really choice fish. And I understand that they're there to make people happy, but clearly the otter is the happiest of them all. Okay, we'll update people, obviously. That's going to be our top story tomorrow. That's The National for November 22nd. Good night.
Good night.